All right. Um, I know we don't start till 4 o'clock, but I'm trying to make sure everything's working here. It's first time I'm inviting a guest, so we'll see how this works. Well, not the first time. Let's see. Oh, what happened? Go to YouTube. Hang tight, hang tight. Okay. Trying a slightly different setup. Um, in the past, and let me check to see if the volume's working. Test, test. Past, and let me check to see if the volume's working. All right. So far, it seems to be working. So, hey, it's Tio Michael. Welcome. It's a Sunday afternoon, and it's been a little bit, not a long time, but a little bit since I've been on live. I did go on to Facebook Live to announce this project. Now, last week, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, 2 weeks ago, I was on Facebook Live and I was watching one of my friends do a live drawing session. I popped in and was talking with him, and I sent him a picture of what he was doing, similar to what he was doing, and I said it would be cool if we got on together. And last week was Mother's Day weekend, so we weren't able to get together then. I said that would be too busy for both of us, and I said we went ahead and set it up for this week. Well, something happened in between there that kind of caught my attention, and one of the things that occurred was there's this new project that's going on. It's a contest, not a contest, but more like a prompt. And I saw this from another friend that I met through the convention circuit when I was doing the convention circuit here in Orlando. And that's um, cool as heck. And he did this corner box challenge, which I love his art. And he's such a wonderful guy. And him and I got to know each other through the convention circuit and a couple of shows that we did. And we keep in touch through the internet. He did this challenge, and it's a corner box. And the corner box is what used to be, well, sometimes still is, in the comic books. It would be where they put the price and the insignia for the company, and they would also, put their copyrights and stuff. But it would be a figure, either from the character from the book inside the drawing, or they would have somebody that they had that was a famous artist or one of the fan favorite artists doing a I guess an iconic rendition of that character in that box. And they change from time to time. Sometimes they would do little gags, like cartooning gags, where they would have the characters changing costumes or changing things, like Bruce Banner would turn into the Hulk, or the Hulk turned into the Savage Hulk. They did that during around the Hulk 300 series era. So I kind of grabbed onto that idea, and I talked to Thom. I sent a message to Thom. I said, "Hey, let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that on screen. We'll draw together separately at the same time, and hopefully we will be able to do that." Um, but instead of just doing a comic book corner box from a series like Daredevil, which is the one I'm going to show you in a little bit. Let's do one from Star Comics. Star Comics was the imprint for Marvel Comics, sometime in the late 80s, mid 80s. And it was when they were trying to bring back some of the kid comic to Marvel. And I don't want to get too preachy or make this a history lesson, but it's fun to learn. It's fun to understand. back in the 30s and 40s, um, let's see, just got a message from Tom, so I'm waiting for him to sign in on the link. Back in the 30s and 40s, they had the comic strips. So the big thing was that you would see cartoons in the newspapers and stuff like that. And so they would be syndicated, and they would have a string of that's where they would do all their comic routines, and they would have serialized storytelling in comic strips. And then comic books came about with Superman in Action Comics #1, where before that they were pooling together the comic strips in basically like trade paperbacks, and people could buy books to read a whole series of them. And somebody decided, let's start doing original stories, and they did that. And of course, you had the pulp um, books and things like that that were also around that earlier time period, actually, that continue to be where they were heading to. So it's kind of interesting that Marvel wanted to bring that back, especially it was a big, I guess it was a way for them to continue operating after the fact that during the 50s, we had that whole seduction of the innocents and the congressional hearings where they initiated the Comic Codes Authority, and they banned a lot of the action, the gang violence, the violence altogether, and sexuality that was predominant in a lot of the comics. And it wasn't over the top, but for that time period, it was sort of risque. And of course, they said that that was leading to juvenile delinquency. So what they did was they scaled back. That's when Batman got real campy, Superman got real campy, and now really just Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, just the main ones were able to survive. But they picked up funny comics, Archie comics, romance comics, westerns. I was just reading in the biography for Joe Kubert that war comics was picking up. For somehow they couldn't show violence, but they gave a little leeway to soldiers, war comics, and things like that. So it was one of those things that's what they built they were able to maintain the industry. Not a lot, because they did cut back a lot, and they started buying out some of the smaller publishers. So what came out of that was what we effectively have, almost effectively have today, minus Image. And so you have Marvel, DC, you have Archie, you have Mad Magazine, you had the I forgot the name of the company, but it was the ones that had Charlton. Those are the ones that they based off of for the Watchmen. So they continued on, but back in the 80s, Marvel said, hey, we need to do something special. Let's see if we can get. So they did that whole new universe, and then they did Star Comics. And Star Comics was kid-based comic books, Strawberry Shortcake, Peter Porker, Spider-Ham. They also had some of their licensees with like Star Wars and the Ewoks and droids and things like that. Terry and the Space Pirates or something like that. There was a lot of different things that they had, and Top Dog, Garfield, and those were kind of things. And since Thom Futrell is a cartoonist, he also is a writer. He does horror story stuff, but he's also a cartoonist, and he's breaking. He does some professional work, but he is also breaking and trying to get better and doing more comic work. And just like myself, I'm an amateur who has sold some stuff professionally in airbrushing and in shows, but I still have not been published in a comic book, which is one of my dreams. So when I see some of these prompts and things like that, I like to do them to build my skills. I'm always learning and going through. And I want you to understand, when you see my work, and one of the things that a lot of times people always say, you shouldn't show all your work. and they say, if it doesn't look good, because this is something that could lead to someone contacting you and saying, hey, we want you to work on a book, or blah blah blah, and that's true. But I like to show the process. I like to show where I've started from, where I'm going, how I'm improving. I like to show people that it's not always as clean as it looks at the end. And that was something I had a big problem trying to figure out as I was learning the business, is that it always looked so clean and I couldn't figure out how to get clean. I couldn't understand how to get to that level. So I like to show the process on there. And again, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. So I'm not perfection. I'm not perfect. But I do like to try and share that with everyone. So trying to see if Tom was able to get in yet. Tom, if you're watching or if you've seen me on here, follow that link and see if you could get on so I could let you into this site, because it'll be easier for us to show our stuff on our cameras. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera now. Oops. Sorry. Bear with me. There we go. All right. So this is what I was talking about. Bear with me as I get this positioned. Okay. So this, again, I found this out from Cool as Heck, and you can find him as Cool, KOOLASHECK, as Heck, Cool as Heck. His last name is Cool as Heck, and it's pretty cool how he could get that name set up on there. But I follow him, and I saw this stuff that he did as far as part of the prompt. I then looked it up online because there is a actual oh Lord, I gotta get a different arm. All right. I have to move stuff into the camera range. Sorry. All right, so you can follow Cool as Heck on Facebook, Instagram. I then looked up Rich Smith Illustration. He's the one that's kind of doing this program. And if you go on to Rich Smith Illustrations on Instagram, he also has on his site a excuse me, a template for the cover boxes, so that and how to process it. So what I did, the prompt was, pick a character that you like and try to do a cover box of that, a copy of it with your own style. And of course I was like, this is so cool. And I thought of the really eye-catching and stylistic cover boxes for Daredevil. Daredevil is one of my favorite characters. So what I have here is what I started working on. This is the one I submitted already. And as you can tell, my lettering is terrible. I am working on that, but I wanted to get this out. Sometimes it's just good to get out in your of what you have in your head and get it on paper. And so this was one from the 1967, I think it was when they first started using this cover box. I want to say that it's based off of either Wally Wood or John Romita's version of him. And I took that and made it, I wanted to stylize it. I focused more in on this figure here. And I wanted to do more of almost a Batman animated series, but for Daredevil. These two are from the Frank Miller era, but this one I tried to do more of a Joe Quesada kind of texture and edginess to it. But again, it's all my work, penciling and inking, and I use the originals as references. And I tried to mimic what they had in the different letter boxes themselves. So that's why I even copied the copyright symbol there. So this is what I submitted and go through. What Thom and I had discussed. Oh, here he is. All right, Thom, I'm going to bring you in.
Oh, scary looking.
Now, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're on live, and
Okay.
I
Hi,
got you
everyone.
on there. And again, welcome. This is Thom Futrell. Now, Thom, I think you and I met through the Joe Kubert correspondence course online on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. We're both from there. Yep.
So the Joe and I know I almost sound like I'm pitching for them all the time. I really love that school. I love the people. Um,
Learned so much there.
I've always been interested in Joe Kubert's school since I saw it in the back of comic books when I was a kid, as a teenager. But
Yeah. Yeah. Same
when I
here.
found that they had that site on Facebook, where because I actually signed up for the correspondence course, but this Facebook site allowed us to meet with artists from all over. There's people
Hmm.
on there. Some of the guys are from Australia, stuff like that. So that was always cool that we could touch base with all these artists at different levels
Yeah.
from all over the world. And that was really cool. And it's a really good gang. So you could always check out the Joe Kubert correspondence group on Facebook. Um, some of us started the program. Some people went to the program. Some of us never did the program, just kind of wanted to meet other artists. So, and I've been friends. Up, you good there? I've been friends with Thom too on Facebook, and I watch as he does his different artwork and things like that. So, Thom, why don't you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Been wanting to be a comic artist for a minute. I'm a published author. Um, I don't know. Writing and storytelling's always been easy for me, but I've always wanted to use art as my way of telling the story instead of just writing it. And through the Kubert School and through a few other places and through cartoonists that I've met in my life, I'm slowly developing a style that I think is working out fairly well for me. At least I'm hoping. I've been drawing, good lord, as long as I can remember. Um, I'm finally getting some confidence up, starting to do live streams and stuff that at one time I would never do. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Well, good. Well, pleasure to finally get to talk to you face to face. I know we did online and stuff. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's my pleasure. One of the things that I noticed, you do a lot of cartoons. You really are good with the cartoons and getting that kind of like a more like a not like Disney type cartoon, but more like a cartoon like the stuff for the Snoopy, the Garfields from newsprint.
yeah,
and and
yeah.
that's kind of the feel that I get from your stuff. So I thought it would be good if we focus on this cover book challenge or corner box challenge of Star Comics. So what we decided to do was we talked about this.
Hmm.
We picked two characters, and I don't know if you could see this very clearly because it's pencils. His daughter kind of liked the strawberry shortcake,
Yeah, yeah. She's a fan.
so we decided to do a strawberry shortcake where we did a pencil at home on our own. This
Hey,
character that we're gonna,
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna turn my camera so I can show you guys mine
yeah,
too.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead. So then the second one that the second character we chose is the one we're gonna do live, and that's Peter Porker, Spider Ham. And as an extra, because I made 3 boxes, I have really been into the Tor. I'm reading Joe Kubert's biography, and Tor was the character he created for his own self-publishing. And so that's why I did an extra one in there, kind of playing with the idea. And I really didn't like how my Marvel Comics indicia looked, so I really played with these to try to make them a little better. I have not learned a lot or practiced a lot of lettering. All right, and there's Tom's strawberry shortcake. Oops. Tom, you still there? All right, there we go.
Sorry. I'm
Oh,
still
no
learning all
problem.
this stuff.
So, um, what I did with mine was I went ahead and I did the Star Comics the indicia that was on there, and I kind of laid it out on both of them. So our next
Okay.
project is we're going to draw Peter Porker.
Yeah, never drawn them before,
Hey,
but I'm gonna
listen,
give it a try though.
let's see how we do. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't have a reference up here because I have all my video stuff in use right now. But I did play around. I work nights, so I was working last night and I did a couple sketches of Peter Porker. Now, I love Peter Porker. When they started Starbucks, I was in that pre-teenage where I was looking at comic books. I loved my comics, but I kind of was leaving the cartoons and stuff behind and going more towards the comic book ones like G.I. Joe and stuff. So when they
Hmm.
made Peter Porker, it was kind of like that transition. It was still kid friendly, but it was also tied into the adult comic books or the more action oriented.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that they do funny animals.
Yeah, animals are fun to draw, especially cartoon ones. I have a blast doing them.
Oh, have you ever read one of my favorites was from DC, Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember Captain Carrot.
In
Well, it's
fact,
been a
I
long
went
time.
crazy. I actually went crazy so I could find the Todd McFarlane Captain Carrot figure. So I have that.
Oh, very cool.
I wish they would make Pig Iron
Oh
because
yeah.
he was kind of like a Hulk like slash Colossus figure.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I was a kid, like growing up, I was hooked so badly on Underdog.
Oh,
Oh
I love
man.
that cartoon.
Yeah, I remember I was on vacation up north somewhere with my mom, and I remember going to this little store and they had this candy. It was Underdog. It was supposed to be the pill that's inside his ring. And I was a little kid and my mind was totally blown by it. I was like, whoa, this is so cool.
Uh, I loved Underdog. I didn't really like the movie they made of it,
Oh, me neither.
but I
No.
loved the original cartoon. And then I also loved there was another cartoon that was a riff on Batman, I think, Courageous Cat.
Oh yeah. Yep, I remember that one. Yep.
And
Yeah,
that was
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
that was a real big bite rip off of Batman.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So what I do when I go, and then this is for not for you, Tom, but this is for other viewers.
Hmm.
Whenever I'm doing a project, I do some sketches first before I commit to what I'm doing. And one of the things that I do is I kind of get the idea of the pose first, and I do my underdrawing, which is the basic shapes.
Oh yeah, same here.
So if you look at what I did here, I have the Peter Porker head is, it depends on which one you're looking at. The one on the cartoon is more of a ball with a snout, and that's what I kind of copied here. But the one
Hmm.
from Star Comics was a little more gangly looking, which it was more stretched out, which was in keeping with the Steve Ditko look for Peter Parker. But I kind of
Yeah,
like
what
the
I'm
idea that he has more of a round head. One of my bad habits, though, is I just, when I start doing Spidey, I get stuck on, I have to make the webs.
Oh, I know.
You're supposed to do the whole figure, get everything in shape, and then focus on the details, I guess. But I always
Yeah, it's
want
like
to play around with the head and put those webbing in just to, even loosely.
okay,
So
I'm gonna go ahead and start laying in some shapes here. Like I said, fingers crossed as this actually slightly resembles them. Hopefully. Um, put the eye right about here. I do have a reference picture like up on my little tablet thingy here. But it's very it's very fuzzy. So I really don't
yeah.
see any detail. But
Now, what
hopefully,
do you, when you use references, do
uh-huh.
you get your stuff from online and just kind of look at what
Yes.
somebody else has drawn?
I usually go through Pinterest. Um, especially for like comic book characters and stuff like that. And I just kind of study because I'll look at like all the major artists that have done it, like Jim Lee and people like that. And I just kind of study the heck out of it, out of their lines, just to see how they did it and kind of adapt it into my cartoony type of style. Um, because I mean, I know, and I'm not gonna kid myself. They've been doing this a lot longer than I have, and I'm not gonna hold a candle to them. So I'm not, instead of trying to do like them or do better than them, I just do my best and try to like use their influence, kind of like a well, this turns um kind of like in honor of them, but at the same time, I'm still going to do it the way that I do it. It's going to have my own signature look to it.
Right.
Um, because I mean, as much as I mean, I could say, oh yeah, I'm a comic book artist, blah blah blah, but I mean, I know I'm more of a cartoonist than that. That's just my nature. Um, I do love the cartoonist of old as well, but really, it's really weird being a cartoonist I take most of my influence from just straight up comic book artists because I just think what they do is amazing. I
Yeah,
think if I could do half as well as they can, then I'm doing something right.
yeah, and I think I did a show where I was talking about. Uh, you have some people that say they were self-taught, and I understand what they mean by that. That they use references, they look at stuff, but I always kind of understand that you have to have. You can be original and teach yourself and learn a style, but you
Right.
have to look at what came before. And we're standing on
Exactly.
the shoulders of people that really put a lot of effort, and we're standing on the shoulder of greatness from people that came before us.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Now my personal favorite, a lot of people, well, I'm old school. A lot of the old school fans may or may not agree with me. Um, but I've always been a Kirby fan. I love the square look that he gave it. I mean, it was his look. It was his own way, and you can always tell. You can always tell when Kirby did something.
Now,
And
were you always a Kirby fan, or did you learn to love him?
I kind of the first time I seen, I think the first thing I read of his, I want to say was the New Gods, or maybe it was the Eternals, and I was just instantly like, "Whoa, these guys are all block shape and they look so cool." And I've just been a fan ever since then. Like first time I seen them, I know a lot of people, like you just said, it has to grow on them a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, I've always dug them.
Cool. I was one of those that I had to. It grew on me. I
Yeah,
love the when you look at it from afar, the action, the energy he puts in. I've always loved that, but I had
yeah,
to
definitely.
understand more of the blockiness. I'm going to cut in real quick. What I'm
Oh
doing
yeah,
now is I laid out my stuff. I then penciled in what I was going to do, and to make it a little cleaner, I use a kneaded or netted. I think it's kneaded eraser,
called Mr. Needy.
and I go ahead and I rub it so that I could get the pencil marks off. And then what I'm using is a Tombow inking brush pen. And I found these because I was watching a video that Walt Simonson from Thor, New Gods, and also from the Ragnarok series that he's been doing, amongst others. Uh, in fact, thinking of Simonson, growing up, I didn't really know who was the artist on I just knew what I liked.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until I started looking at the art and becoming an artist myself that I started realizing who did what. And one of my favorite Batman covers, I don't remember the actual number of it. Batman and Joker were fighting on a pyramid. And it was in your face and it was colorful and it was wonderful. And then I find out later that was Walt Simonson.
Oh, very cool.
One of my favorite intercompany crossovers because I was a big John Byrne X-Men fan.
Oh God, yes.
And I was a big George Perez Teen Titan fan. And yet, when they had the X-Men and the Teen Titans meet up, Walt Simonson did the art.
He is I mean, again, man. There's so many legends in comics, and yeah, Simonson was another one. I I mean, I'm not gonna say anything negative about current artists or anything that in either company, but I mean, legends. I mean, they're just so good, and they can do it so consistently. And I mean, it just I don't know, it's mind blowing to me.
I was impressed. I'm always impressed by his kindness and how he treats people. But he just did this project, which was a supersize, uh, basically like a cover spread but a supersized version of the whole Surtur winter casket saga thing that he did that they had in Thor,
Okay.
and it was as tall as he was.
Oh wow.
And he just finished it. So if you go to Walt Simonson, there's a group uh, that he usually gets on. That's like his fan page. They have pictures of the guy who came by and picked it up. It was a commission piece.
Man, that's amazing. That is so cool.
And if you following the Joe Kubert, oh, did you see when I did
Hmm.
the video about my trip to the Kubert school?
I Yeah, I think I did see that. Yeah.
Let me tell you, that was a trip of a lifetime. It was just last month, April. So they are, so they sold the Kubert family sold the school to Anthony Marquez,
Oh, I didn't
and
know that.
he's an artist and a editor, and in the cosmic, and he's a alumni of the school.
Okay.
And so they were in the original school. Was out of a what they call the mansion, which was the house that Joe Kubert had in Dover, New Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah. I know about the Dover school.
And then when they started getting bigger, because the family lived on one floor, and then they had the floor for the students and stuff like that. And they bought a high school. There was the high school that was in Dover, and they were decommissioning it, and so they bought it, and that's where they've been for the last what 20 something years.
Yeah, so yeah, they've been there for a while.
And they now move to Madison, New Jersey, I think it is.
That's that
And
old fashioned looking house, right? The new one?
no, the new one's not the old fashioned. It's actually well, it's not a house. It's like it's a business, it was an area where they had multiple business and offices.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it's also the area where Anthony opened up a comic shop that he's been running in concurrence with the school. During
Wow.
the pandemic, he shut down the shop because everybody was not being able to go out, and up in Northeast it was even worse than down. I'm in Florida, so and I'm a nurse, so we were open nonstop. I was non-essential, or I was essential personnel, I should say. So
Yeah.
I was working the whole time. But a lot of other industries, and especially up north, things shut down. And so he closed the comic shop and moved it into the first floor basement area of the school. And so that's where it worked for some time. And then after everything opened up, they moved back. And now he's moved the school, because that's a big school. And a lot of
Right.
people are doing a lot of online and distance learning now.
Yeah, I prefer doing the distance like I take like cartooning classes and stuff, outside of the other, and yeah, I prefer it online. I really do. Ever since COVID, it's like I don't know. It takes a little more discipline because you gotta like make yourself do it, but it's worth it.
Hmm.
It's definitely worth it.
Um, have you ever tried to do their online course?
I did story graphics.
Oh, who did you have as a teacher?
Oh man, it's been a minute to think. I wanted to do the figure drawing with Mr. Ruiz. I want to do that because he is
That
so
is
good at with Archie.
that is well worth it. He,
Yeah, I definitely
let me
want
tell
to do
you,
that one.
not only is he the one of the nicest guys I know in the biz as well, he is such a good instructor. He made my work pop, and he helped me understand some concepts that I had difficulty with. A lot of times, my biggest problem was my artwork looked static or stiff, um, or it looked two dimensional, too flat.
Yeah,
And he helped me understand that process, and that was just in that online course. So he
yeah.
was really great.
I remember I watched there was a video clip of him once, and he was breaking down drawing anatomy. I think it was an anatomy thing he was doing, and he was like, don't look at it like an arm and this and that. He goes, look at it as a box, look at it as a tube, look at it. And it was like, it made it like 100 times easier. And I was like, wow, yeah, he's right. It's so cool. But yeah, that's he's another one of my heroes. Him, the Kubert family. Um, I don't know. There's so many artists I look up to. It's incredible. And like I got a couple of the old DVD. Well, like they originally were VHS, but they're DVDs now of Joe himself teaching stuff.
I
And
have two
I
of them.
do you okay? So you know what I'm talking about. I absolutely love his drawing style, and I love the way I love the way like he does like his monsters. Like he did that giant bat, and it looks so incredible. I was like, I didn't want him to stop drawing it. I was like, man, add something else to it. This is really cool. And he's I don't know. And I think I saw a video. It might have been a YouTube video of him drawing Sergeant Rock. Oh boy, the way he draws is just so cool. It's just so. It's like he's just scribbling, and you just see this thing come to life through his scribbles. It's amazing. I don't know. I'm a fan. I'm over here sounding like a fanboy. But I
I'll
really
tell
am
you,
though.
when I was in the military, we had a magazine that they would give us that was about how to fix our vehicles. So it was called Preventive Maintenance, or PM magazine.
Okay.
And we would use it because part of our duties would be to go down to the motor pool and work. So even though I'm a medic, I would have to work on the ambulance that I was working on. So I'd have to know how to fix the engine, and I had no clue. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I took the subway everywhere I went.
You'd
So
almost had to in a city that big.
yeah, so I never knew anything about cars. So I needed that magazine, and it was what I liked about the magazine. It was in a comic book format
Oh
with
wow.
comic illustrations. Guess who worked on it and who started that process? Or one of the ones that
Oh,
started it.
Joe
Joe
Kubert. That's
Joe Kubert.
awesome. That is
And
so
not only
awesome.
Joe Kubert, I think the guy who did the Spirit, Will Eisner, used to
Oh
do it as
yeah.
well.
Oh, that's another one of my favorites, man. He was another great one.
Now I have to make sure, because I've been thinking about trying to collect those, but I have to make sure because there's certain things that you can't, it has to be non-classified or declassified so that it's safe to take. But if it's allowed, I would love to get those and just add them to my collection.
Oh, no doubt about it.
So
Yeah.
there's my Spider Ham.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, mine's
You're doing great. He's swinging.
I'll say it's for first time over here.
That's
Um
awesome. I'm
again, I'm doing the whole like it's like cartoony version, because that's just me.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and color mine.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm I don't know if you know, you probably know what it is, you're a nurse. I have monochromacy.
Oh, so
So
you don't see.
all I see is gray,
Yeah.
literally. So I don't usually color my art, and when I do, I'm either guessing or the family is like, you know, handing me the right color and pointing in the right direction for it.
I have a
Right.
friend that excellent artist, and he does a lot of comic book sketch cards.
Uh-huh. Oh, those are cool.
Um, I'll have to send you his link. He
Okay.
has he has the same thing. You
Oh,
would never know it.
I have to check his work out. That sounds great.
But what I noticed was he actually uses that tone to set his characters up in the tones that he sees first. So when he sees light shades of gray or light shades of or dark shades, he then sets that up in his drawings and then follows a color guide to finish it up.
Very neat.
So it actually adds better tonality to the piece.
That's wow. That sounds really cool. Yeah, I like to check his stuff out.
Yeah, I have to send you. His name is Chris, but I have to find uh, his link. I'll send it to you later.
Okay. Yeah, sounds great. I'm just gonna add some little shadow and say okay, shadow here. And I'll fill in the non-web sections. So man, this was a good idea. I'm glad you thought of it, and it's awesome to be able to like be on here with you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I like to I like to talk, but it's cool to interact with the other
Yeah.
artists. That's one of the things. Even just the this is what I think a lot of people miss. I think sometimes, and this is what I kind of get bothered by a lot.
Hmm.
You have people who go out of their way to spend what is it now, $5 to get a $5 meal deal at McDonald's, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they don't have a problem doing that, even though they got, like my mom used to say, we got food at home. They don't think
Yeah.
twice about it. And they'll pay a perfect stranger and somebody who doesn't help them in any way, shape, or form uh, to get that. That's okay. But if they have somebody who does art, they expect to get it for free sometimes.
I've had that happen more than once.
And I think sometimes what people don't understand is not only is it cool to buy from artists and support their work, especially if you're friends and family and you like what they do, but share. It doesn't take any money to like a picture to help get more views. It doesn't cost anything to share the picture with your friends that may have a different group or algorithm than the group that follows us already.
That's true.
You
That's
know, I
true.
always
Yeah.
say if my family doesn't share my stuff, I'm like, come on, guys. There's people that I don't, and that could help the business. That could help people see my work. Um, who knows? Who knows when somebody might know somebody in the business?
And there's always that possibility.
So I always think you could
Well, Mike, hopefully you get back out soon, buddy. Okay, I'm gonna probably a lot better if I had my ruler with me, but I'm just gonna kind of here autograph it on there. There. Well, guys, hope you're all